to watch for anybody. Specifically, if you are a human rights activist only and not care about humans and their rights. I will talk about Holocaust. Holocaust, like you see in the book of rituals, in the aspect on rituals in the Bible, is a sacrifice of an hurt animal on the altar of God. So you can see in this chapter that I did post. Also, if I go to Wikipedia and I choose Holocaust, Holocaust here means means burnt offering. It comes from Latin, from Greek, and it comes from French to English, Old French, from holos, hol, and kaustos, burning. So sacrifice to God. Even if you don't know that, because you did not do any research on it. The Jews called their sacrifice of 6 million European Jews in Holocaust. And also you have the 20. You have also the people that were not Jews that they die, mentally ill people, and some other groups of people that Hitler did not find worthy enough to put in his sexist program of procreation to increase the population. If we look to the amount of animals that are killed any year for the near consumption of flesh, we see that it is 77 billion plant animals for food any year. Not because we need it, only because some smog thinks he is more superior than another living being and that his food choices are more important than another living being. That's the reason we kill more than we kill 10 times more animals than there live people on the planet. Just remember it. Also, keep in mind, people, I want that you keep this in mind. Since the 1950s, the fishing populations around the world did skyrocket. Like I did show you now in this essay. If you want to see my talking faster in another video on that topic, I suggest you going to check out my video on YouTube, The Fishing Industry since 1950. I have there all the sources in the description, organized. So if you have a question, check out one of those links. But let me go a little bit easy on it right now. And we can now see that the fishing the human population was significantly lower around the start of this century. In 1950, actually, there were around 1.5 million people, now 7 1.8 billion. But also the amount of animals that are eaten are significantly higher if you look to statistics. People have never eaten that amount much of animals that are doing today. In the 1950s, the populations of phytoplanktons are actually starting to decline, and they are reduced by 50% today in comparison to with it were in the 1950s. This is great because of the increase in technology to fish larger amounts of the ocean. And this is the reason that Atlantic population did completely collapse the fisheries of that in the Pacific Oceans. And they are until now not recovered. And I will probably not recover as long as we don't stop fishing and stop promoting the consumption of fish, which is totally unnecessary, to say the least. Also, one of the reasons of the collapse of the Atlantic population is because of the carbon fish that are caught as bycatch. And other kind of not fun things that are catching this net. So fishing is not selective. It is massive. It is destructive. And if you watch my video more about it instead, maybe you also can catch it. The problem with it when I talk just about it in a fast way is that for example, since 1950, between 1950 and 2001, the fish populations of the cats fish that cats is for fish farms is increased with 40%. Well, yeah, increased with 40% from 40-fold. I mean, 48-fold. Yeah, and this is not good for the fishing populations because are just around 10% of actually for the were in the 1950s. Looking at reports from 2015, around a bit around that. Also keep in mind that people, we don't need to eat fish. Fish is not an health food. It is not good for the environment that fishing was. We destroy massive amounts of habitats. But it also is a holocaust. Because in our anthropocentric mindset, we are, after we destroyed God and become atheists, we did actually started to worship ourselves, our technology, and our perceived intelligence, which makes us arrogant, and it makes us delusional. It makes us believe that we were more special than other living beings. Honestly, I think most people are not more smart than other living beings. I think the reason that we can build those societies is because we did write everything up. Look how bad the memory is of most people. Do you really think that most animals are smarter than us? It's just an illusion, smoke and mirrors. Chimps have better memories than us. There are many. There are some scientists that actually did prove that. For example, maybe I should show you. Gary Yarsky. I go to his website because they have some nice videos showing actually what I mean. I hate those apps that you not can block. Why? I don't want to have them. Please, don't let me watch those long things. Hey, serious? Reckon not.
Japan's Primate Research Institute, the PRI, where a Yumu is based, have devised intelligence tests for chimps. One test is for what's called working memory, the brain's ability to temporarily store and use information. The numbers 1 to 9 are randomly scattered across a touchscreen. The chimp looks at them for as long as is needed to memorize the layout. Then, as soon as 1 is touched, the other numbers are hidden and must now be remembered. We volunteered Chris, the director of this program, to demonstrate this test. He's a college graduate and a crossword addict, but how good is his working memory? When Chris reckons he has memorized the layout, he touches 1. When the others are hidden, he must try to recall 2 to 9 in ascending order.
It takes me ages to remember where they're all placed, and then I think I've got it. It's really very, very difficult.
In 30 attempts, Chris only once reached 9 without making a mistake.
As soon as they're blanked over, it's like my mind's been blanked over as well.
When a Yumu sat the same test, he correctly remembered the numbers almost 90% of the time.
Kaiein gets it right almost every time, and I've got it right once.
Chris fears he's let his species down. But even when the PRI played a Yumu against their best human students who were given regular practice sessions, a Yumu still beat all humans. Other chimps at the PRI have also sat the exams. Among these apes, computer skills are as normal as the ability to swing from the trees. Though none of his rivals beat a Yumu, a few came close, and average chimp results turned out to be higher than amongst humans.
Do you want to see him again?
The numbers 1 to 9 are randomly scattered across a touchscreen. The chimp looks at them for as long as is needed to memorize the layout. Then, as soon as 1 is touched, the other numbers are hidden and must now be remembered. We volunteered Chris, the director of this program, to demonstrate this test. He's a college graduate and a crossword addict, but how good is his working memory? When Chris reckons he has memorized the layout, he touches 1. When the others are hidden, he must try to recall 2 to 9 in ascending order.
It takes me ages to remember where they're all placed, and then I think I've got it. It's really very, very difficult.
In 30 attempts, Chris only once reached 9 without making a mistake.
As soon as they're blanked over, it's like my mind's been blanked over as well.
When Ayumu sat the same test, he correctly remembered the numbers almost 90% of the time.
Ayumu gets it right almost every time, and I've got it right once.
Chris fears he's let his species down. But even when the PRI played Ayumu against their best human students who were given regular practice sessions, Ayumu still beat all humans. Other chimps at the PRI have also sat the exams. Among these apes, computer skills are as normal as the ability to swing from the trees. Though none of his rivals beat Ayumu, a few came close, and average chimp results turned out to be higher than amongst humans.
See, this is one of the reasons I always claim that we are not that smart as we claim to be. We are not that more intelligent than other animals. Chimps have better memories than us. The reason that we have our societies is because we read everything down. Most people's memories is not that good, people. Look at yourself. Look how much of the time you forget stuff. And how much have you to repeat on school to get that stuff for your exam in your brain? Just say. Some people are smart. Some animals are smarter. And we need to just to become a little bit humble. Also, look, people. Look at this. Auschwitz begins when somebody looks at the slaughterhouse and thinks there are only animals. It's not a problem that we call what we do to animals a holocaust. It's a problem that people think there are more special than other living beings. And this mindset is a form of bigotry. It is a form of systemic discrimination. And if you are familiar with many forms of social justice movements, for example with racism, with sexism, you'll notice that they talk something about a word that is called systemic discrimination. And that's basically when the society have accepted a certain kind of bigotry against a certain group and normalized it to such a degree that we think it is normal and natural and that it should be protected. For example, in the United States, certain behavior that are more common in disenfranchised as poor people are more punished, and therefore those people suffering from systemic discrimination. For example, many things in the time of, for example, in the time of the in the United States was in time of in the time of that criminal Nixon, that with the waterfall scandal. If you remember that, and the war on drugs was the war on hippies and the war on blacks. That's the reason that it take us drugs that are against cannabis, weed for the hippies. The most abused drugs by the black people was heroin. So that's, if you do your research a bit about that topic, you also come to the conclusion that it is true that the war on drugs was not a war on drugs, as it was a war against people, a war against the Vietnam War. I just say, open your eyes, people. Open your eyes. I'm not against Jews. I think a lot of Jews are also doing well. For example, in Israel, I think the fact that since Gary Yourofsky there did come there, whopping nearly 20% of the population is vegan there. There are even a vegan village community in Israel now. I'd like to see them in the United States before anybody judges them about that. Yes, there are some problems, just like there are some problems in your countries, people. But I'm also not entirely shocked if you look at the Arab world, but that's for another topic. I don't want to go in details about this right now. One thing is clear. I will always be in the position of on the side of the people that are causing the least amount of mayhem to the earth and to the animals. Even if there maybe are more cruel to other people, but animals go always for my first, because first, animals have no voice for themselves that is understandable by most people, specifically people that actively try to ignore their suffering for whatever reason. I think the path to peace goes to veganism. I think as long as we are arbitrarily discriminate against animals based on their apparent lack of so-called human features or human behavior, then it's will always create a way to discriminate against other certain species. Speciesism is the root of all hatred. If you learn a child from a young age that all living beings are deserving of respect, specifically when they are not harm you, how can that child grow up to become a sexist, a misogynist? He is more worthy of protection because of his skin color. Hatred is a learned behavior, people. And it's time we stop hating on animals. It is time we stop playing lip service to their suffering. and it's time to go all vegan. Again, like I always say, if you are not the victim, don't imagine it entirely from your point of view. Because if you are not the victim, it becomes pretty easy to mock your victims, make fun of their entire existence, label them stupid and dirty, and say that their life don't matter at all. Like Gaddafi, like Saddam Hussein, like Bush, and many other people, like Stalin, Idi Amin, all have done to the Pacific victims. But when you are the victim, guys, things look a lot different from that position. Then you only want that the suffering ends. Then you only want your freedom. You want only to be safe and loved. And being let alone. And safe. Why not giving them the least amount of respect? By going vegan. Eat beans, eat lentils, eat banana smoothies. Like I do. Check out my Instagram. I also post sometimes some food recipes. I will put those links in the description below. If you have any need of some recipe list because you don't know what to eat, tell me, and I will make it myself or show you a person how can make it in a way that you will like it. Because nobody likes the taste of animal products. Sorry, I also don't believe when I was first vegan that it was the taste of the animal products themselves, but if you think more clearly about it, if you think rational about it, if you look calmly about it, it's the spices that come with it. It's the cooking techniques. It's the oils, salt, pepper, spices. Nobody likes roadkill. Nobody likes roadkill. If you were a true carnivore, if you were a true omnivore, you will like the taste of rotten, decaying flesh. Like a dog. Like a cat. But you do not. You totally transmute it, so it does not taste anymore like a rotten corpse. Think about what I've said. Let it sink in, guys and girls. Forget not. When darkness and light become one, the reality splinter away, and the true become visible. Peace out. Evolve. Make apologies for the way you are living. And evolve. This world one day will be vegan. I sincerely hope. And the animals too. And there matter the most. Because we should learn to watch anything from the victim's point of view. From the animal's point of view. That's how we can make peace. Anti-Semitism. To call what we do to animals. Rubbish. Black people don't earn the term slavery. Just like Jews don't earn the word Holocaust. You can agree with me or not. But slavery is just forced labor against somebody's will without payment or compromise. It is one person exploiting another person for financial gain. And this sickness needs to stop. There's enough for anybody's need, but not enough for anybody's greed. Those animals people eat, For the people that want to play that game. Supply and demand, people. Supply and demand. You stop it, you convince enough people to stop, demand will go lower. Demand come lower and lower until the day comes that this ends.